Righteous Revenants. Killzone has finally returned to Helldivers 2. The lost weapons have made their way back to the hands of the Helldivers, new players can take on the mantle of the Hellghast, and Killzone fans no longer need to have any FOMO about these items. They are here to stay forever. But is this Warbond actually any good? Well, we're gonna find out because we're getting started on page 1 with the AC1 Dutiful armor set. Our first items in this Warbond are the most iconic items from the Killzone franchise. I think even people who haven't played Killzone like myself, they are sure to recognize the glowing red eyes of a Hellghast trooper. The body armor itself actually looks really awesome. I think that it fits right in with the rest of the armor sets in Helldivers 2. I think it looks very realistic and practical, and I'm a big fan of that, honestly. And of course, the iconic Hellghast helmet looks great. They did not skimp out on the glowing red eyes, and I just love a good gas mask in general. And I definitely love the World War II looking helmet. That is a helmet that makes you think that you're not a good guy, let's just say that much. This is a medium armor set with 100 armor, and it comes with the acclimated armor passive. This armor passive reduces the damage you take from all sources of elemental damage, including fire, gas, acid, and electrical damage. This is a really good alternative to the Desert Stormer passive from Dust Devils. You simply trade the throwing distance for more pure resistance against the elements. This passive is great if your teammates are bringing all sorts of elemental damage and they have a habit of accidentally killing you. But as far as the enemies go, the bugs are the only faction that can actually use two types of elemental damage at the same time, currently. Bile Spewers can hit you with acid attacks, and the Dragon Roaches can hit you with fire. So this passive is pretty good on worlds that are being raided by Dragon Roaches. It will help you survive a number of different enemy encounters. I hope that in the future there will be more enemies that use elemental damage, like bots using gas or the Illuminate using fire or something like that. That would make this passive and the Desert Stormer passive much better for general use. Overall, this is a pretty decent armor set with a pretty decent passive, and of course, if you're a fan of Killzone, you're gonna want to own this armor set. It's iconic, it's cool, and even as someone who's not a fan of Killzone, I think the armor looks really cool. Next up, we have the STA-52 Assault Rifle. Once upon a time, the STA-52 had the largest magazine size out of any assault rifle, and that was the main reason to use it. But unfortunately, this weapon has been almost completely outclassed by the Liberator Carbine, and even the Liberator itself can hold a larger magazine than this thing, and the Liberator Penetrator. If you compare the stats of the STA-52 to my own Liberator Carbine build, the STA-52 has barely anything to offer. It has 2 less horizontal recoil, and 1 degree less of bullet spread. That's it. They fire the exact same ammo, but the Liberator Carbine has more capacity, better fire rate, and better overall recoil, and you can customize it. If we're being practical here, the Liberator Carbine is almost downright an upgrade in every way, as long as you build it correctly. And it's a real shame. The STA-52 is a really awesome gun design, it's sexy as fuck, and it should be performing a lot better than it is right now. I'm actually really surprised that they didn't buff this weapon at all with the release of this new Warbond. It's a shame, it's a damn shame. If we take a look at the MA5C from the ODST Warbond, that weapon at least has something to offer when compared to the other assault rifles. It does certain things better than other assault rifles, and it has its own place in the sandbox of Helldivers 2. But as it stands currently, the only reason to pick up the STA-52 is if you're a fan of Killzone, or if you need something to spend medals on and you're bored. Or you don't have Viper Commandos. But if you don't have Viper Commandos, then you shouldn't be spending money on this Warbond in the first place, frankly. Arrowhead, please buff this weapon. It's really cool and I want to see it be good, and I think that the Killzone fans deserve a good assault rifle. Again, if you put the weapon in a vacuum and judge it on its own merits, it's not a terrible weapon. It can get the job done and it's also fun to use. But when there are other weapons that are downright better, that needs to be addressed, and I hope Arrowhead comes out with a buff for these weapons pretty soon. Our last items on page 1 are the Strengthen Our Arms cape and the Strengthen Our Arms card. And I don't usually talk about cosmetics in my Warbond reviews because I'm frankly not artistically talented, and I don't think I'm a good critic of these things, but this Warbond is pretty light on content, so I do have some time to talk about it. The Strengthen Our Arms cape is pretty damn cool. Not only does it look good to me as a non-Killzone fan, but this is actually the flag of the Helghast themselves. The Helghast Triad is the name of the flag. And I know that this will have some significance to fans of the franchise, and it will definitely cement you as a bad guy. The card is pretty cool too. It also bears the Helghast Triad, and it's nice that they have that on a card. But I was raised as a Helljumper myself, and my honored heirloom is never coming off. We're moving on to page 2. And on page 2 we have the Plaz 39 Accelerator Rifle. Now here's a fun fact for you. The Accelerator Rifle was actually the first weapon to ever be classed as a primary sniper rifle in the armory. This was changed and the weapon was moved to the energy-based category earlier this year, and we have never seen another weapon enter the defunct sniper rifle category since then. The Plaz 39 Accelerator Rifle is a very unique weapon. You charge it up to fire, and when you let go of the trigger, it shoots 3 high-powered plasma rounds, dealing 250 damage on impact and another 100 damage with a small area of effect. One thing that plasma weapons always do well is durable damage. This is when a weapon's armor penetration matches an enemy's armor class, like medium pen hitting medium armor for example. Most weapons in this game will lose most of their damage in this situation, but plasma weapons typically only lose half. The Plaz 39 deals a lot of damage with a single burst, usually killing most medium-sized enemies right away. You know, think Devastators and Berserkers. This weapon can kill them pretty fast. But this weapon has 2 massive problems. You can only fire 3 bursts before you need to reload, so you're gonna have a really hard time fighting a large group of smaller enemies, for example, with this weapon. And the reload time takes way too long for it to be effective in close quarters, and it's honestly a huge hindrance in general. If you're gonna use this weapon, you absolutely need to use Siege Ready or Reinforced Epaulettes, because the reload speed is terrible, and you should bring something capable of dealing with chaff enemies like a Stalwart or something like that. This weapon isn't nearly as terrible as it used to be, but it really needs a reload speed buff. That would make it so that it's much more fun to use, and it would be good for the balance of the weapon in general. But hey, at least it has its own role in the sandbox instead of being totally outclassed. That is something to celebrate. Next up, we have the AC2 Obedient armor set. This is one of the most visually distinct armor sets in all of Helldivers 2. The main body armor looks pretty badass. It's like a low-profile body armor with half of a trench coat bolted to the torso, and I think it looks really good, to be honest. And the helmet definitely makes you look like a bad guy if the armor didn't. At a glance, you straight up look like a robot or a cyborg or something. And I know that some of you will say that that's heresy or whatever, but I think we can let this one slide. This is a light armor set with 50 armor, and of course it also comes with the acclimated passive, so I don't need to repeat myself on that one. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of light armor, personally. I prefer medium and heavy armor a lot more, especially if I'm taking a passive like acclimated that's meant to reduce the damage I'm taking. Other passives like Scout or Engineering Kit or even Integrated Explosives, those are perfect for light armor in my opinion, and this isn't something that I would like to use on my own. But again, that's just a matter of opinion. If you like this combo, then that's great, and if you're a fan of Killzone, then I'm sure you're gonna get a kick out of owning this armor set regardless. Next up, we have the Defender of Our Dream cape and the Defender of Our Dream card. I couldn't find out what exactly inspired this design. Again, I'm not an expert on Killzone. Maybe it was the original Helghast Triad, I have no idea. But if any Killzone fans recognize this symbol, let us know what this is in the comments because I'm kinda curious. The cape is pretty damn cool. As a Canadian, I really love the combination of red and white, except I get to roleplay as a bad guy with this cape instead because no Canadian ever did anything wrong. The player card is the standard affair. It shares the same design as the cape like they usually do, but again, my ODST stuff is never coming off. The cape, though, does fit really well with the Inspector armor set, so I think that is a pretty cool addition for those of you that like Truth Enforcers. Time for page 3. And on page 3 we have the Assault Infantry title, of course. In Killzone, the Assault Infantry are the iconic Helghast soldiers, the same ones that wear what we know as the AC-1 Dutiful armor set, and that is a pretty cool reference to the original material, and the icon you get along with the title represents that perfectly. I used to run this title all the time before the ODST Warbond was released, just because I thought it was a cool title, but it's nice to know that there is some meaning to it as well. I just hope that it didn't appropriate the culture of Killzone fans. Next up, we have the STA-11 SMG. The STA-11 SMG is in a weird place. It actually does have its own place in the sandbox of Helldivers 2. It's not useless. Unless you have the Super Citizen Edition like I do, then we're looking at the same situation that we had with the STA-52 assault rifle. My build for the Knight from the Super Citizen Edition fires the same ammo with faster fire rate, better recoil, higher ammo capacity, better ergonomics, and you can customize it. So the STA-11 is actually pretty good if you don't have the Super Citizen Edition, but if you do, then the Knight is downright better in almost every single way. The only thing that the STA-11 actually does better is weapon sway, which might be important to some people, but on paper, and in theory, and in practice, the Knight is just better. The STA-11 itself has a super awesome design. It's a strange mix between a PP-19 Bison and an Uzi submachine gun. It's a really fun design for a fictional weapon, and I like it a lot. It's like weird and industrial and scrappy, and it's really cool. I think that they need to give this thing better ammo though. It should deal slightly more damage than the Knight if the Knight is going to be better in every single way. Still, if you don't have the Super Citizen Edition, then this is a good option for a rapid-fire SMG that you can use one-handed. So it's not like this is a terrible weapon, because it's not a terrible weapon, but it actually makes an argument that the Knight could be seen as pay-to-win. And Arrowhead should probably do something about that, because this is a good SMG that I personally can't bring myself to use regularly because I have a better option because I paid extra for the game. There's something really wrong with that, I think. You know, 2 of the weapons in this Warbond can be downright replaced by other better weapons. That's pretty fucked up, and one of those weapons is only obtainable if you spend another $20 in the game. That needs to be fixed. And finally, I guess I'll show off the vehicle patterns, because there's really not much else of note in this Warbond, and they're actually really cool. I'm not sure how these relate to Killzone. I honestly think that these might not have been intended for the Killzone Warbond in the first place. They may have just developed these patterns and then repurposed them for this Warbond, but I could be wrong. And I really like this kind of camo. I used to run a camo like this all the time back in Modern Warfare. You know, Modern Warfare, the first one, the 2019 one, but I can't remember for the life of me what it was called. These are actually the only new items in the Warbond, which is somewhat disappointing, but it's definitely one of the cooler vehicle patterns in the game. So yeah, I approve of it. In conclusion, Righteous Revenants is unfortunately very overpriced to the average player when compared with other Warbonds. And it makes sense. This is a crossover. This is more of like a collectible kind of thing. It's meant for Killzone fans and I guess completionists, but 1,500 credits for a grand total of 16 items, including 3 weapons and 2 armor sets. It's not a great price. You could say the same thing about the ODST Warbond, but at least that one had 4 weapons instead of 3 weapons, and the weapons are, I think, generally better, and that goes a long way when discussing the overall value of the Warbond. The worst part about this is how they handled distributing this Warbond to people who already had the Killzone items. If you purchased any items during the Killzone Superstore from last December, then you got the Warbond for free, which is great and I'm glad they did that. but anyone who didn't purchase anything and only received the free items didn't get this Warbond for free. And this Warbond includes the free items as unlockables. So if you didn't buy anything from the Killzone Superstore and you had the free items, you are paying 1,500 credits for one weapon, an armor set, a cape, a card, and vehicle patterns. It's still better priced than the Superstore was, but that is a low bar, and they really should have given this Warbond away to anyone who owned Killzone items. It's not fair to ask people to pay so much for so little, especially in a game that is known for having fair prices and a great business model. Imagine paying 1,500 credits for a Warbond that you already have half of the items in. You already have 2 out of the 3 weapons in the Warbond. That's ridiculous to me. I don't understand what their plan was here. My main problem with the contents of the Warbond itself, discounting price and discounting the business model, is that the weapons all have some kind of problem. Like, and the fans of Killzone, I think, deserve better than that. They haven't gotten a new game in like 12 years. You can at least make their weapons good. But other than that, I really like the armor sets, and the armor sets are at least different from one another. The ODST Warbond has 2 armor sets that are functionally identical. So in terms of armor sets, I gotta admit that the Hellghast kind of beat the Helljumpers in this one, so I'll give you that. I can really only recommend this Warbond to fans of Killzone, or people like me who want to own all of the items in the game, or people that have thousands of credits saved up and they want something new to unlock, or fucking rich people, I don't know, man. But I want to know what you think about Righteous Revenants. Is it good? Is it worth 1,500? Did you get it for free? Do you have to pay for half a Warbond pretty much? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, I want to thank each of my channel members: Swickity, ArchAngelShipyards, DirtyKnightmare, NOTSAINTT, Findas, Still Cheddar, Minuby, ASMOBIUS INFINITUM, and Voodoo Roll. Thank you all so much for continuing to support the channel. I say this every time, but it really does mean a lot to me. And we're coming up on the holiday season too, so from my home to yours, I wish you a happy holidays and a happy new year. And that's all I have for today. This is Grand Moff Togan of the SES Prophet of Dawn, signing off.